Okay, Erev Tov, everyone. Today is the 8th day of Cheshvan, and we're coming back to our favorite Parsha, Parshas Lecha, Parshas Lite, and you'll see now that you're going to look at this Parsha, even though you know it, but you're going to know it even better. And lots of interesting stuff, from simple pshat to good musar, and even a little Kabbalah, some gematrias. We'll see how far we get today. So we're going to focus on the part of the World War I and World War II, with the 4 kings against the 5 kings. And maybe just for the sake of to show the fancy artwork we have over here, let me just find it. Yes. I'm going to share something else with you for just a minute. I know you cannot see it. I have to stop this share. And I'm going to share the screen and just share what's on the desktop. Okay. I want you to see a nice little map here.
No.
Not yet.
There it is.
Ooh, Saudi Arabia.
Okay. So these are maps I wish I had when we were learning Lech Lecha. Just to know, important idea. This is the Euphrates River. Okay, you see that? Chaya already is familiar to Chaya. She saw it yesterday. AVRAM was originally in this place called Ur Kasdim. Okay, and at the end of last week's Parsha, Haran takes his family, not Terach takes his family away. They had lots of political problems with Nimrod, and they end up at Haran, which is still just east of the Euphrates. This week's Parsha, Lech Lecha, Avram tells him to go. Hashem told him to go. He goes that way to Eretz Yisrael. Okay? Now, the excitement happens in the next picture, which is not as clear, but it's not bad.
Now we see the overall.
Let's just reframe over here. Look exactly where my cursor is. I'm going to show you the Euphrates again. There's the Euphrates. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got these 4 kingdoms in this area. The area of Shinar, the area of Elim, the area of Elosar. There's 4 kings over here, which we will call them descendants of Shem, but they're the bad descendants of Shem. Okay, these are the 4 kings. They had a battle with the 5 kings who all live around the area of Stone, which is in Israel. So after having one big battle, and they made the 4 kings defeated the 5 kings, and they had to pay tribute. Then we know that only lasted for 12 years. Then they rebelled for 13 years. And now came World War II. So the 4 kings, and this was their travel route. They defeat nations along the way till they come all the way down to the Stone region, and they win this battle again. Again, you're going to ask, why didn't they go this way? It seems a lot faster. Answer is, lots of mountains. They haven't put any transcontinental highways in yet. Okay? Now, the point is, you remember, AVRAM and Lot, they had a separation between the 2 of them, and Lot went to which city? Sodom. And in the midst of this battle, he gets caught in the middle, and he gets captured by the 5 kings. Okay, that's where we're up to. Everybody clear on where we're up to in the story here?
Yep.
Okie dokie. So let's knock this down. You should see the pasuk now, correct?
Not yet. Decrease that screen. There we go.
Okay. So, and what did they do? So this is the 2 psukim right before this pasuk. This is the pasuk we're going to look at, chapter 14, verse 14. But before it says, this is the 4 kings. They also took Lot, the son of Avram's brother, and his possessions, and departed, for he had settled in Sodom beforehand. Okay, that's the end of the battle. He's captured. A fugitive brought the news to AVRAM the Hebrew, who is dwelling at the tabernates of Mamre, the Amorite, allies of Eshkol and Aner, these being Avram's allies. So what is happening here, and that was yesterday's Parsha class, we spent a lot of time talking about Avram the Hebrew, and Chaya can attest to the fact it's a worthy class to review on your own. I think I'm going to develop it a little more and make it the drush, the Erev Shabbos drush. But anyway, so let's get clear. Before we come to this pasuk, what is the information that we know? Question one, is Lot been captured?
Yes.
Yes. Who has he been captured by?
The 5 kings.
The 4 kings.
4 kings.
They were the winners. The 5 kings were the losers.
Okay.
Okay. Where is Avram living? He's living in Elonai Mamre. That's in Hebron. And he already has allies. Eshkol, Aner, Mamre. They're his allies. They're non-Jews, but they're his friends. That is clear. Okay. Now he brought news to Avram. Now, what would you assume? Because the next pasuk's not going to tell us the news. What news do you think he told Avram?
Lot's been captured.
Lot's been captured. Anything else? The 4 kings won the battle over the 5 kings.
So that those 4 kings may come after Avram.
Well, they didn't say that. You know, it just said they took them. If you remember, who was the fugitive? Remember who it was?
Oh,
It was Og. And was he such a tzaddik to tell Avram that his cousin, his nephew was taken captive because he was such a wonderful tzaddik? No, he was hoping that Avram would get killed trying to save Lot. And then Og could marry Sarah. If you remember that from long ago or from yesterday. Okay, that's where we're up to now. So we're going to look at one pasuk, and look what we got here. One pasuk, 4 Rashis today, but they're small. They're small. Some ideas you'll remember from a couple of years ago, but a lot of ideas you will not remember. Okay, so now let us take a look at the pasuk. Now, what would you expect the next pasuk to say? Avram's been informed that his nephew's been captured. So what would you expect the next pasuk to say without reading the pasuk? What would you think the next pasuk would be telling us?
Either asking, well, I see the word captured, either asking how this happened or discussing Avram's next actions.
Is he okay?
Well, how this happened, there's nothing to discuss. It happened. What do you
Okay.
mean? He was in stone. He's caught up in a battle and he gets captured. Right? So what would be the next thing then, Jay?
Is he alive?
What Avram's next action would be? How is he going to react?
Ah, what would his next action be? Excelente. Excelente. Well, we all know a little bit. So what will be the next action in general terms?
He's going to try and save him.
Okay, so what's he going to do? Physically, what's he going to do?
Attack Sodom.
He's going to not stone. Those are
Not Sodom.
not Sodom. They're the one who were captured.
Attack the 4 kings.
He's going to attack the 4 kings,
Okay.
right? He's going to attack the 4 kings. Okay, so now that we have all that, now let's take a look at the pasuk and let's read it. There's going to be some words you're not going to know, and that's okay. So let's start. Let's have Kathy just read the pasuk. You don't have to translate anything, and we'll work it out.
Vayishma Avram ki nishba achiv vayarek es hanichav yilidei veso shmona asar ushlosha meos vayirdof ad don.
Very good. Very good. Okay, let's take every clause slowly. Okay, the first line I think is easy. Vayishma Avram means,
And Avram heard.
and Avram heard. Okay. Ki can have many meanings, but we know the word nishba means captured. And what does achiv mean?
Means his brother was captured.
His
That,
bro-
that
what?
his brother was captured.
Good. So Avram heard ki that nishba achiv, his brother was captured. Okay. Now, what does he do after that? Now we read on. Vayorek es chanichav. Two very hard words. Two very hard words. They're so hard, Rashi has to tell us what it means. Okay, so Rashi tells us Targum, Kit Targumo. That means as the Targum, Uncle Lewis translated it, Vizaris. And you don't know what that means either, because you don't know Targum, but it means armed. He armed. He got him ready for war, right? Vayorek es chanichav. Another hard word. What is chanichav? And you see, I put things in the wrong order. Anyway, this English should have been up here. Okay. Anyway, I must have.
Okay.
So Rashi notices a few things on this word chanichav. Look how the word chanichav is spelled. Is there something wrong with the way it is spelled?
Well, if you compare it to the Rashi, there's missing a yud.
Okay, that's correct. But what's wrong with that? Because let's look at the word achiv, right? Now, what if I would have done this? Hang on. I don't want that. I want just this. How do I do this?
Good.
It's not letting me do it. I know what I could do. No, I can't.
Backspace.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous with Hebrew.
Forward space.
You never know what's going to happen. Okay.
There you go.
What does it say?
Achiv.
Achiv.
Achiv. But it's supposed to have a yud. Remember that silent yud? Whenever we're going to have the word, it means his. So, it has a yud vav ending. But so to make it proper, I've got to undo. Where's my undo? I don't know where anything is anymore.
Edit.
No. Undo it once.
Yeah, where's the edit? I don't know what happened.
Oh, sorry, that's on your main screen. Sorry.
Well, you know what it is? That's the
There you
problem.
are.
That's blocking it. Okay, that's the way you're supposed to spell it. So guess what? The word chanichav should be spelled like that,
Yeah.
which would mean his something. Okay, his something. Now, what is a chanich? Well, trained ones, the ones who were trained.
Warriors.
So what it means, Vayorek, he armed his chanichav, his trainees, the ones who were trained, right? However, it doesn't spell it that way. It has no yud. So therefore, Rashi says, chanichav is chancho. Chancho, which means one person, not many, but one. His trained one. Because of that missing yud, instead of many, chanichav means a lot of his trained people. Chanicho means his trained one. You see what's going on here? And who is this trained one?
Eliezer.
Eliezer. So what does Avram do? He arms his trainees. That's what he does. Gives them arms, etc., etc. Now we get a second way of explaining them. Yelidei Beso. Okay, what is
That were born in his house?
yes, who were born in his house. Okay, so we got two groups. He took his trainees, the ones who were born in his house. Okay, we'll have to see what that means. Rashi says it's Eliezer. And then we find out how many did he take? Shmona Asor Ushlosh Leos.
Shmona says 8. Shmona says 18.
18.
Yeah, like Shmona Esrei, 18. Ushlosh. Ushlosh.
And 3,000 Neos.
Mea is 100.
300 then.
380.
300.
He took 318 soldiers. Then Vayirdof ad Don, and I give you the English. So what does it mean? What does Vayirdof ad Don mean? You got the English.
And chase them to Dan?
He chased them until Dun. You know where Dun is?
The north?
Up north.
It's way up north. Let's go back to our little picture. I don't know if you can see the picture yet. The battle was over here. Do you see the map?
Yep.
Okay, the battle was somewhere here. He chased them till about here. That's the northern extreme of Israel. Okay, so that's what he did. Okay, so now what we at least understand the pasuk a little bit. Let's see if we can dissect a few things over. Now, let's review what it says. Avram heard that his brother was captured, and he armed his trained ones, the ones born in his house, 318, and he chased until dawn. That's what the pasuk says. Now, does anybody have any questions on this pasuk?
Why 300?
About what did I forget to do, guys? You know what I forgot to do?
Record it.
I forgot to record the clash.
No, you did. You did.
No, you said it at the beginning.
Oh, it's there. You're right. I see the little thing. I'm getting
They're
nervous.
According to the cloud.
Because we had to accept the fact that it's being recorded.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Okay, good. So I'll show you how bad my memory is. I'm getting very paranoid about things going wrong lately on the computer.
Must be the COVID.
No. Okay, anyway, do you have any issues with this pasuk? Now, let's go back to what Jay, when I asked the question about 10 minutes ago, I said, Jay, what should the next pasuk be saying? And what did we conclude, Jay?
What are Avram's next actions?
Okay, is this pasuk exclusively telling me that?
Well, it basically said the people he gathered and he chased them to dawn. Doesn't actually say what he did to get them to chase to dawn, but
Who did he chase?
The four kings, obviously.
Four kings.
Okay.
But the next psukim will give us more details.
Seems like they focus more on the people he gathered rather than the actual actions.
Okay, fine.
First, he just went in and did it.
But let me ask you something. These two lines, I can't get them all together for some reason. These two lines, what are they doing for us?
At this moment, nothing.
Why don't we just say like this? Let's take the word Avram. Why don't we say Vayorek Avram Eschanichov? And Avram armed his trainees. As Jay said, let's just get to what he does. So the question is, the bingo question is, and they just popped up the question. I like that. Just popped up. What does the pasuk say, or it should be why? Or better yet, what does the pasuk say Avram heard? What did he not hear? And why not skip the first two lines?
Well, there's nothing about Lot in here. Did he rescue Lot? Did Lot get...
That's coming up. We're just starting. We got another 5-6 psukim. We're going to continue. Okay. We're just starting the story. It's going to say he divided up his troops and he beat them and he this and he that. That's going on. That's going to be continued another 4 or 5 psukim. But we're just focusing on, he's just found out what's happened. So first of all, it just should have said, take out the first two lines and say, Vayorek Avram Eschanicha. And Avram armed his trainees. What's this Vayishma Avram Kinishba Achiv?
But don't we have to know the reason why he armed?
I don't understand. Didn't the pasuk tell you already that the refugee said that Lot was captured? Right? Let's go back. They also took Lot. It's a fact. The fugitive brought the news. The news. What news? That Lot got captured.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you're saying like it's repeating it?
Yes. If it says, again, see, I have to remember next time I'm going to give you the wrong way, the way the pasuk isn't, but sounds so much better. And then I'm going to give you the new way, and you're going to see how terrible it is.
So Olga's manipulating him.
No, but you understand, we already know what the fugitive told him. He told him, your nephew is captured. Okay, so now, and Jay said very correctly. So now the next question tells what AVRAM does. I mean, obviously, the fugitive brought the news to AVRAM. Guys, brought the news to AVRAM. What does that mean? He brought the news to AVRAM.
You already heard it.
You already heard it. So why does that say Vayishma AVRAM ki nishba achiv? You don't need that. You see the problem?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad we see the problem. Now another question. What does achiv mean?
His,
Yeah,
his son.
His brother.
His brother.
It's not his brother.
Was Lot his brother?
No, his nephew.
His nephew. So you might want to say, well, you know, brother means a relative, but you know, you could have said a relative, not a brother. So what's going on over here is some opening questions that we have to understand. So let's share some information from some of the commentaries.
Let's see, because he told their brother.
from- So the Sefer Agra de Kala, he is disturbed with this idea of like why you have to say these first two lines. So the answer is that, you know, sometimes when people hear bad news, distressing news, what is the general reaction? Very distressing news. What is the general reaction?
Panic.
Panic.
Okay.
Panic. You're in shock, right? Did anybody ever get fired from a job one day? Just you walk in and they say, don't even come in. Here's your stuff. Here's your check. Get out of here. Ever happened to anybody?
Yes.
Without warning?
Hints.
That's totally without warning, actually.
But you get, what's the first reaction? Panic, no?
Yeah.
Anger.
What if, God forbid, you know, somebody gets run over by, you know, traffic accident, panic. Well, what should the news that his nephew, who looks just like him, got captured? What do you think that reaction is going to be? For most people, it'll be a question of panic, right? So what is the Torah telling us? Vayishma AVRAM. AVRAM was able to hear the news and he remained AVRAM, just like before. He didn't fall apart. Okay, so the first message is he's able to keep his equilibrium together. Now, why he is, we'll see a little later in the class. But that's what the Torah is telling us. Number one, that he's able to keep his composure, which is a very important thing for one to keep one's composure. Now, the Malbim explains further. How do we know how AVRAM felt about this? And the question is, why is he really going to go get these 4 kings? Okay, and which means as follows. If he will attack these 4 kings, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either he's going to win or he's going to lose, right? If he's going to lose, there's nothing to worry about because you're dead. right? If you win, what do you win? If Avram attacks these 4 kings and he defeats them, to the winner goes
Respect.
what? The spoils.
Oh, so he gets
Right?
he gets to take their
Now,
possessions.
What? Now remember, these 4 kings defeat the 5 kings. What does it mean they defeat them? They capture them. They take them as slaves. They take their money. They take everything. And they take Lot. So now what is motivating Avram to go out to battle right now? So let's see. The Torah is saying he heard a lot of things. Because remember, it says they also took Lot. There was a lot of other things. They captured the 4 kings, 5 kings. They had captives. They took their money and they took Lot. Now the future brings the news to Avram. Brings all the news. But which part, Vayishma, always means, same thing. There was another time we had the words Vayishma Yisro, and Yisro heard. Right, but didn't the whole world hear? The Jews got the Torah, but hearing, it means hearing. Yishma means Shema Yisrael. Hearing that brings you to action. So the question is, yes, Avram Vayishma. Vayishma, it's not just he heard the news, he hears it to the point of acting on it. But what thing is he hearing that's causing him to go to action? It's what? Not the spoils. It's Kinish Ba'achiv, that his brother was captured. That's what got him going. Okay? And therefore, he gets a spirit of courage, okay, to go up against a big, mighty kingdom. Okay, and therefore, who does he get involved with? Now, who does he arm? Hanichav, his Eliezer. Wait a minute. Didn't we say he's allies with Mamre, Aner, and Eshkol? Does he have an alliance?
Yeah,
Why doesn't he arm them?
they're not Jewish.
There's Eliezer.
So,
But Eliezer was in his house.
Oh, Eliezer was Jewish.
okay, but these are his compatriots. You know, you make a covenant. But he was so excited. He was so meant to help his nephew so much. He says, I don't need their help. I don't need their help.
But he
I want-
gathered 318 other people, though.
No.
Because they're my students. They're in my tent area. They're my group. Okay, so this is already important. When you hear bad news, what is it that you're hearing? Well, it's, a lot of things, You hear there's COVID. A lot of people hear a lot of things when they hear there's COVID. Okay, so let's say you're somebody from Hatzalah. What do you hear when you hear this terrible COVID and you're a Hatzalah guy? What do you hear? What are you hearing?
That you're going to be busy with medical urgencies.
And you are going to prepare yourself to help a lot of people, right?
Yes.
Now, what if you're a businessman? What do you hear when there's COVID?
Loss of money.
Or,
Employees.
or,
Bankruptcy.
or
No customers. I don't know.
you buy 5 million masks and sell them for twice the price and you make a lot of money, no? Do you think that there's some people have become very rich during COVID?
No,
Right.
maybe.
Because you see in crisis opportunities. So how do we view crises? The Torah says, I've viewed the crises from the strict humanitarian perspective. I have to save my nephew. That's it. I have to save my nephew. There's nothing else to talk about. I have to save my nephew. Other people would have heard other things. Oh, I'm going to go because I can really cash in and make a lot of money. I can defeat all these guys. I'm going to get all the money. Whoa, what an opportunity. Torah saying that's not what he heard. The hearing part means what's the part of the whole message that drives him to doing it? It's kinishpa achiv. Now, this is simple shot. You want to dip in a little mystical over here? We
Sure.
can dip in a little mystical, maybe a
Show
lot
us,
mystical.
show us the numbers.
And so one of the questions is, okay, again, like what's this idea that he heard? And also, why is he called Achiv? He's not his brother. It's not his brother. And you should know, there are those who say that the escapee was not Og at all, but it was the divine presence gave him the message. So now Avram's a little bit of a prophet. Now we know mystically there is a very holy chariot that really carries the entire Jewish people. And the chariot has 4 wheels, 4 legs, a chair, 4 legs. Now, for the Jewish people, who are the 4 legs? Take a wild guess. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, very good.
And David.
And David. Excelente. Why are they the legs? Avram is the leg of chesed, kindness. Yitzchak is the leg of gvura, control, prayer. Yaakov is the leg of Torah and emes. David is Malchus, is king. Now, do you guys know where David came from way back? Where are his origins?
From Moabite,
From Moabites.
from Rus.
Rus, very good. Now, where does Moab come from?
From Lot.
From Lot.
From Lot. Amazing. After which story? What happened?
After Sodom was overthrown.
After Sodom was overthrown and Lot is saved by the angels, him and his 2 daughters, they think the whole world's been destroyed, and the daughters get their father drunk and they can have children. And that child, one was Moab. Moab. Many generations later, that's Rus. 4 generations later, that's Avram. Now, what happens if Lot gets captured here and is killed?
Oh, there's
The
no
future is doomed.
The future, yes.
The future is doomed. Vayishma Avram. And Avram is able to hear a lot more than me and you can hear. He hears Ki Nishpa Achiv, his soul brother. The 4th leg, the potential 4th leg is gone. Well, you see what's going on over here?
Makes a lot more sense.
You understand? Now, both interpretations are correct, but there's layers. There's layers. There's the simple interpretation that Avram did it because he cares about his nephew, wants to save his nephew, even though the nephew is, not exactly the most honorable person in the world. After all, Avram, you trained him, you raised him, you did everything, you got him rich. And what did he do? He turns around and goes to Sodom, where he shouldn't have gone. And Avram thought, well, let him suffer. But no, he knows there's something more. Now, if he knew 100% or whatever, but that is what happened. And now it was really a question of saving the future of David HaMelech. David HaMelech, he's he's like a cat with 9 lives. You ever think about it? Remember, Adam HaRishon was shown all the generations in advance. And what was David HaMelech slated for?
Supposed to die early.
To
Die
die
at childbirth. At childbirth.
child.
Adam HaRishon said, I'll give him 70 years of my life. So that's one life. Now, where's he going to come from? He's going to come from Lot. Well, if Lot gets killed, there ain't no David HaMelech. So therefore, he has to save him. So you never know who you're saving sometimes. I'm saying this wretched Lot, I never, that is my cousin. Yeah, but you know who really was being captured? The future. David HaMelech, his real brother, his soul brother, the fourth leg of the chair. Okay. So now, how many does he take with him? 380. Now, obviously, we're going to discuss that in more length. He's taking 318 people. What else? What else is he taking? 318. Well, let's take a look over here. He's trying to save David because he's the fourth leg, right? So now, whose merits are we going to need to be able to win this battle? We're going to have to play, like, what do you say, buying in advance on credit. You have to have the merit of AVRAM, the merit of Yitzchak, the merit of Yaakov, the merit of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes. So let's take a look at the letter Shin. The letter Shin. Now, the letter Shin is an interesting letter. Now, it's got a base and 3 vavs, right? It's also got 3 crowns over here, interestingly. So what does the Shin represent? So mystically, it's a lot of things. One of the things is, it's the only thing that's got 3 heads. It's the only letter that's got heads. 3. Who are the 3? AVRAM, Yitzchak, Yaakov. AVRAM, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Okay. Now, if we take the gematria, what's the letter Shin? What's the numerical value of Shin?
300.
300. But the Shin also has a vav, and a vav, and a vav. What's the numerical value of vav?
6.
Okay. 300 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals
318.
318. So the merit of AVRAM, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, is what he took with him, those merits, to be able to save his brother David. And one day, the letter Shin will look like this. See? AVRAM, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and
David. King David.
King David. This is the crown that is yet to come when Mashiach comes. Whoa! That's a little mystical, eh? A little bit mystical. Okay. Anyway, so that's what he's doing. Let's move on. Let's move on and try to get some other nice little ditties over here. So how many people does he take?
318.
I think he takes Eliezer.
Okay, now Rashi said Chanichav is Chancho, his one student, and that's Eliezer. And Rashi continues. Really, this English, I didn't want to give you tons of Hebrew Rashi. So we just add his trained one, referring to Eliezer, who had trained to the observance of religious duties. The word chanoch, chanach, signifies introducing a person or a thing for the first time to some particular occupation which it is intended that he should remain. It has a similar sense of chanoch lenar al pibdarko, train up a child, or chanukas hamizbech, dedication of the altar. So the old French word for chanoch is, I can't pronounce it, but in English, what? Enseigner, which means to teach, to instruct.
Okay, yeah.
So this is Eliezer. And now look at the next Rashi. Shmona Aser, 318. Rabboseinu Amru, our rabbi says, Eliezer Levado. What does Levado mean?
By himself.
Eliezer himself, how it was. Higher than that. Vahu Minyan. This is the number of the gematria, the numerical value.
His name.
Shell of Shema. How do we have that? Look over here. Eliezer. Aleph is what?
One,
Lamed is.
30,
Yud is.
10,
10,
Ayin is.
70,
Zion is.
7,
Reish is.
200.
It adds up to 318. The gematria of Eliezer is 318. Amazing. Amazing. Now, that's wonderful Rashi, but everyone should have a major question to ask at this point in time. Major question. You can't get past the question.
well, it suggests he took 318 people, which doesn't seem to be the case.
Like, what was it? Was it 318 or was it 1? So if you're going to say, well, it was 1, but he was like 318 people. Doesn't matter. It just should have said, you want to make the pasuk really short? It should have said, Vayorek Avram es Eliezer. Finished. Vayirdu Vadan. And he goes to none. Isn't that enough? If that's what happened? You know, you can't play it both ways. Is it 318 or is it Eliezer? Which one is it? Right? Like the pasuk says 318. No question about it. It says he got 318. But Rashi said, no. That was Eliezer. Because his gematria is 318. So good. So his gematria is 318. So what in the world is that supposed to mean? His gematria is 318. So I can give you what we call a pragmatic answer, and I can give you a mystical answer, or symbolic answer, and I can give you a super mystical answer. So we'll start with the pragmatic answer. You know what he did? He arms his students, but it's not with a yud, so it only means 1. See, that word chanicho means 1, singular. Chanichav with a yud would mean many. All right, it says 318. So what do we do? So the rabbis say, what do we know happens before Jews go to a battle? What does the Torah tell us? Before Jews go on a battle, what do they do? What happens?
They pray.
They pray, but something more important happens. The Kohen goes out to the battle lines. And what does the Kohen say? He says, you're about to fight a war for the sake of Hashem. And in war, all kinds of things happen. People die. It's a dangerous time. And anybody who's afraid, let him leave the front lines. You remember this stuff?
Right.
It's a speech of encouragement, but also if you don't think you can handle it, don't come. So what do you think happened? AVRAM does the same thing. So he arms his students. And there were 318. Okay? But then when he told them what's on the line, I want you to know, we only have 318 soldiers. We're going up against the 4 most powerful countries in the world that have a total of 2.4 million soldiers. Are you with me or not, guys? Are you afraid? Who's afraid? You know what they say? I'm going to turn my back. If you're afraid, leave, and then I'll turn back. So when he turned back, the only one there was Eliezer. So now you understand what was going on over here. Avram had 318 soldiers. And Eliezer was part of that. But 318, they were frightened. So it meant it was just going to be me and Eliezer. Now you can see why Eliezer is worth 318 soldiers. Because if Avram would have gone with the 318, they would have won. And now they're going with Eliezer instead of the 318. That's a beautiful shot because that's how the Torah is hinting to everything that's going on in the pasuk. Such a rich pasuk. It's telling us why he's going for Lot, not for the money, because it's his brother. Avram remains calm. He arms everybody. He tells them, okay, there's a big battle. People are afraid, don't come. And all of a sudden, the 318 turns into 1. Okay, so that's very good shot over here. And therefore, and really, and that is Eliezer is really what that is all about. Now, let's take it one more delicious step further. You guys remember when Avram and Parsha's Lech Lecha, and I made you remember certain numbers? How old was Avram when he left the land of Israel? Torah tells us he was how old, remember?
70?
75.
75. It says Avram left and he was 75 years old. Why do we need to know he's 75 years old? Now, if you might remember, one of the Meforshim said, it told us he was 75 years old because that's why Lot went with him. Because Lot figured, oh, he's an old man, he's going to die soon, I'll inherit all his money. That was one shot. Another shot is he was 75 years old.
Come on.
But let's look at what the gematria
75, big tachon.
is. Bitachon. Beis is 2, Tes is 9, 8 is 6, 8 is Ches is 8, Vav is 6, Nun is 50, 75. Okay, so Avram was 75 years old. He left Haran, left his comfortable environments to go to a place he doesn't know because he was a man of bitachon. He was 75 years old, meaning what? In terms of bitachon. And therefore, he was able to go. Okay. Now, it then says, he arms his soldiers, it's 318. And we say Eliezer is equal to 318. So let's think about this. Let us take now, what does he do? Vayorek. Vayishma Avram Vayorek is Chanichov. Let us take bitachon, which is 75, and the gematria of Avram, which is 243. What does that equal?
18.
318. And that's what he meant. He armed his soldiers, 318. He took his name, Avram, and his bitachon. And from that, he makes a powerful force of 318. And really, what's the deeper meaning? What does the word Eliezer mean?
Didn't you say something? Teacher?
El, God, Eli, my God.
Hashem is my strength.
Eli, my God, Ezer is my helper. Do you understand what Avram's doing here? He hears Avram, Mr. 75. He was still 75 in this story. It was still his 75th year, close. And Avram, he hears his brothers captured. So what he's doing, he arms his students, 318, putting all his kochos, and that produces an idea of Eliezer, that Hashem will be helping him.
Wow.
So this is really what's going on over here. If you recall, now, I'm sure many of us would have given up hope. Would you give up hope when you know that you're outnumbered like that?
Yeah.
What is the Hebrew word for despair? The Hebrew word for despair is Yeush,
Right.
despair. The gematria of Yeush is 317. So what's so important about the number 318 now?
Spirit plus one.
Answer is a person with the bitachon of AVRAM is higher and can overcome Yeush. If you're 318, one more than Yeush, you're on top of Yeush. That's all embedded in this pasuk. The stakes were way against Avram. Avram said, doesn't matter. If this is what Hashem wants, this is what we got to do. And that 318 says he refused to fall into despair because he understood the cause was just and the cause was correct. Okay. Now he's going with divine help. So now the question then is, so why does he chase them only until done? Why does he keep on chasing them? Why didn't he finish off the job? Like he won the battle, but he couldn't quite finish off the job. So Rashi's wondering, why did he chase them only until the tribe of Dan? So look what Rashi says. Adon, Sham, there, Kashash, Kocho, his strength was weakened. Why? Shira'a, because he saw She'asidin in the future, Banav, his children, Lahamid Sham Egel, would set up a golden calf there. Now you haven't gotten to there in your Nach Yomi yet, but it's coming soon at a theater near you. Another week or so, guys. We already know, if you've gone to head in your notes a little bit, Yeravam ben Nevat, he's going to split the kingdom, right?
Yeah.
He's going to split the kingdom. And what does he do to make sure that Jews don't go to Jerusalem 3 times a year? Because if they go 3 times a year, it kind of takes away his kingdom. So what does he do? Well, he puts a golden calf in the northern border in Shevet Dan, and one in the southern border by Beersheba, and says, guys, you can worship these gods. You don't have to go to Yerushalayim. So as Avram is chasing them, and he's in Dan, even though it's hundreds of years till this happens, he already can feel the spiritual weakness.
Rabbi, if you could repeat, who put the eagles up there again?
Yeravam ben Nevat.
Okay.
Oh, you're Ravam.
Yeravam, the guy who's going to split the kingdom. I think you might have read it in your notes.
That's like
Wasn't
chapter
that
10.
one of the sons of Solomon?
No, son of Solomon wanted to keep the kingdom with Yehuda. So Yeravam split it up.
Oh.
You'll see it all next week. Did you read about, I think today or tomorrow, the Nach Yom, we're going to learn about the Milo. Probably haven't read it yet. Anyway, but just trust me. So you see what's happening. Avram senses there's something's not good in this area. And that weakened him spiritually, because his whole strength came from his spiritual component. Now that he sees something's weak, he can't continue. Because all his power comes from Hashem. So therefore, he only could go until done. He could not go any further. Okay, that's all amazing. Okay, we got time for one more little bitty, itty bitty here. So Rashi says, Vayorek means he armed them. It's interesting to know, where did Rashi get this from? He got this from a piece of Talmud. The Talmud has a debate. It says, he led forth his trained men born in his house. Is this possible? Rav said he showered them with Torah like someone who pours one vessel into another. Interesting. He taught them a lot of Torah. Shmuel said he showered them with gold and gave them an abundance of money. so that they would go to war with. Interesting. Now Rashi did not pick either pshat. Rashi picked what? He armed them. Why does Rashi pick arm them? Because that's the one that most relates to the simple meaning of the pasuk. He armed them. Although we know sometimes armed means, as we'll see in Sefer Shmos, sometimes if you're armed with Torah, then you have the real arms to win the battle. So he could have done that too, no question about that. When it says armed, it's leaving it open. He armed them with a lot of Torah. Okay. But the question we have to ask, the other rabbi who says he gave them money, why did he give them money? Because, so the Gemara in Chulin says, another Gemara, you know why he gave them money? Because their job, what was their job? Their job is to catch up to the enemy, defeat the enemy, and save as many people as possible. That's the job, right? Now, but there is still tons of money all over the place. Remember, they captured everything. So imagine you're one of these guys and you're in the battle and you got a lot of options. So now the enemy is being driven away. Now you got in front of you people to save or money to grab. So what does AVRAM do? He says, guys, before we go, here's all my money. You don't need any money. I'm paying you in advance.
Focus on saving people.
Yeah.
And now you can focus on saving people. Okay, now that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? What questions should you have based on everything we said until this point? Who is he doing this to?
Not really, is it?
Well, whoever's going with him to battle, no? Who's going to battle with him?
One guy.
Eliezer.
Eliezer. Well, wouldn't you say Eliezer a pretty righteous guy?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go back from the front lines, did he? So obviously he's a tzaddik because he's mamish motivated to save people's lives to the point that he's willing to give up his own life, right? So the question is, if he's so motivated to save lives, what does he have to worry about giving them money? So that they won't be involved in collecting the loot and forget about rescuing people? You know what it's like? It's like you go to Hatzalah guy. At the beginning, they say, listen, Hatzalah guy, here's $10,000. You know why? So when you go to save people, just focus on saving the people and don't try to see if there's any money for you to pick up. Boy, is that an insult to the Hatzalah guy? So how do we understand this? Even though Rashi doesn't say it, but obviously the Gemara says so. It's obviously he did a few things. He armed them. So he armed them with Torah. He armed them with weapons. He armed them with money. But why? So a great rabbi gives the following answer, and this will connect very nicely to our Nach Yomi of last week. Remember when Shlomo's in the middle of building the Beis Hamikdash, and Hashem gives him a surprise visit through the prophet?
Yeah.
And what does Hashem say? You make sure to keep the Torah and keep all this. Why does Hashem have to interrupt the building of the Beis Hamikdash? Remember what we said there? Remember?
To
What
keep
did
us on track, to keep
Keep
them
on,
focused.
because realize what his purpose is, and not just to continue with building. Remember what
Okay, same thing here. Same thing here. It's a noble cause. You're going to save lives. Wonderful. It's noble. But you know what? When you're risking your life and there's all kind of pandemonium going on, you see money just falling like dirt. Aren't you going to consider for a few moments to maybe get some money? So therefore, AVRAM understood that. He knows how people can easily forget the main goal. So he paid them the money up front, so the booty and the spoils would not distract them. And that becomes a message for us as well. When we're involved in noble causes, we have to remember what we are engaged with in the first place. And don't let the other issues sidetrack us. So many times other issues that are not what's important, we fall into that. We don't remember what is the main thing we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the message of the pasuk. So look at all the messages in these few words. To recap, the Torah is saying, first of all, we know Avram's going to go, but what's the motivation? Because it's to save the brother, not for the money. But on the deeper pshat, to save David HaMelech, to come into the world. This is everything Avram's thinking about. He trains the soldiers with all kinds of things. And he starts off with 318. He ends up just with 1. And he goes with his power of Avram plus Bitachon, which creates the 318 reality, which is 1 more than Yeush of despair, but can only succeed as long as there's spiritual power behind it. As soon as he sees that there's things falling apart, then he loses his strength in that as well. Okay, comments, questions, anything we'd like to add to the porridge? Sounds good?
Very good.
Okay,
Very good. Thank you.
all righty. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah.
See you on Shabbos. Emir Hashem. Take care. Sei gesund.
Thank you.
Shkoyach.